As we keep a focus on the Israel-Hamas conflict and the war, stories of the tragedy that unfolded over the weekend in Israel continue to come to the fore. And joining us here today is Eyal Harmati, whose 81-year-old grandmother was killed by Hamas terrorists. She was shot dead in her bed. Eyal, first of all, let me begin by offering my condolences to you and telling you how very sorry we all are over the loss that you've suffered, that your family has suffered. Can you tell us exactly what happened to your family?
Yes. So I woke up at October 7th at 6:30 a.m. from siren alarms. There were rockets all over our heads. We were all panicking. I was home alone. I didn't know what was happening. And I started calling my family to see what's going on. Is everybody safe? I didn't think that was real at the moment. Like, I just woke up. And I started reaching out to family, and then I got a call from my sister. She was panicking. She told me that my grandma's partner ran to her house after the sirens and found her dead in her bed, shot in the head. She was lying there helpless in her bed, an 81-year-old woman, and her partner was next to her, panicking, calling us. He was crying, he was screaming, and I can't forget those screams. Both of my sister and my grandma's partner, they were all panicking, and we just woke up. We didn't know what was happening. How is this, like, is this real? Like, what's going on? And then news started to flood in that terrorists from Hamas infiltrated Israel, and they were starting to commit crimes and attacks and terror attacks upon everyone, all of the Gaza Strip, like all around the Strip, all the kibbutzes around there. And we have more family and cousins who live in those kibbutzes, and they were texting us that they're hiding in their shelters and their homes. Okay. And there's terrorists around their houses trying to break in, and there's bombs and rockets and fires all around. They're burning homes for people to get out of their shelters, and they try to murder them. And my grandma was helpless. She couldn't do anything. She was just lying in her bed in her home, and they shot her in the head. They lied there for 28 hours until they were rescued. 28 hours without any help. They were just sitting at home, waiting for some miracle, for somebody to come and help them and rescue them. And it's just awful, like, what's going on from these terror attacks. It's just unbelievable.
I'm so sorry about what has happened. You know, what you've told us is so sad. The rest of your family who was there, are they okay now? They were hiding for 28 hours. How did they manage to get away from these terrorists?
Yeah, so we were texting our cousins and uncles over there because they couldn't talk on the phone even because they had to be quiet so they don't hear them from outside. And they were crying and they were like shouting for help through the phones, through the text messages. They were just helpless. They're all safe now. One of my cousins was hit by a rocket fragment in his hand, and he had to go through surgery yesterday, but he's safe and healthy now. But we lost our grandma, and she was the most loving person in the world. She just wanted to live the rest of her years with her grandkids, with her granddaughter, she was just the most amazing person in the world. She was loving, and she loved the kibbutz where she grew up. And it's just awful, like the terror that Hamas is causing.
Your family was, in fact, in Kibbutz Be'eri, which is one of the worst affected. About 100 dead reported there. There were some reports that suggested that babies were beheaded. What kind of atrocities did really your family members see when they came out of hiding?
So they've seen hundreds of bodies while they were evicted from the kibbutz. Like, they told me throughout the roads, they've seen bodies thrown in the middle of the streets. Like, the stories from the kibbutz Be'eri next to them, it's a kibbutz like less than a kilometer away from them, was full of murders and beheading of children, raping. They lit people on fire. over 112 casualties in Kibbutz Be'eri. They passed through the kibbutz and saw all the horrors from outside. Like, these are acts that no one except for terrorists can commit. Like, this is worse than ISIS. This is unbelievable what they're doing. Like, this is the most inhumane, atrocious acts of terror you can even imagine. You can see people who are rescuing bodies crying out of fear, out of disgust from what they are doing. And the
Yeah.
world needs to know this.
And again, I'm so very sorry, and please accept our condolences for what's happened to your family. There are unfortunately countless such stories that are emerging currently out of Israel. Thanks, Eyal, for taking the time out and joining us here on India Today.